Hi, today I'd like to take you through basic geometry creation in SpaceClaim. SpaceClaim is very fast and very simple to use. We'll be living in a few commands: select, pull, move, fill and combine. Pretty much 90% of the time that's where we are, and a few tools to create sketch geometry. So let's just quickly start. So we'll just draw a very simple line, and you see as I draw my line it feeds back and tells me the size and length and direction. So I want my line to be 20mm long, I hit 20mm and hit return. Very simple. I could simply generate a rectangle, but I also can put a sketch geometry or a line to a surface. So I'll make this 80mm, and then we'll pull that to be a solid body 25mm. Okay, I want to create a hole in here, and I could use my hole wizard. You see I've got a full library of holes and standard things. But here I'm just going to say draw a circle, and then just choose the face I want to work on. So I want to work on this face. I want to locate myself so I'm central to this, so I'm just going to hit the shift key to lock myself into there, and you see I drag down. It's just basically telling me where I am. So I'm 10mm, and we'll drag out and make a 6mm diameter circle. Now we'll pull this circle to become a solid body one way, or a hole the other way. Very simple. Most of my commands in SpaceClaim are multi-tasked. So if I choose this edge and drag it down, I can create a fillet, and then drag again, I can create a fillet. If I don't want that, just fill it back in. Very simple. Okay, I want to put some draft on here, but not the whole surface. So I want to split line this surface. So I want to split it to be multiple surfaces. So in my pull command, I can work with edges. So I say copy this edge down, and you see now we can copy the edge down, and we go down to 25mm, and now we split this surface. Now the top here, I can then say pivot the edge, and then I can pull this edge in. Very simply. And we'll go in about 1mm. Now I want to cut a slot in the top here. Traditionally I'd create a sketch, but all I'm going to do is reuse my geometry. So just choose this edge and choose this edge and say copy those edges again, and we'll pull them in 3mm, and then we'll pull down to create my slot. Very simple. I'm going to make it 20mm deep. Okay, within the pull command I have lots of more functionality. So if I want to, maybe, I don't know, revolve this top edge around to create a bulb, one way adds material, another way removes material. Very simple. We do more complex things. We can copy surfaces, for example. So let's hold the control key down, and we'll just drag a surface off, drag another surface off, and we can do some modifications to those surfaces. So whereas traditionally, if I was doing this, I'd actually create multiple sketches and have a problem with all the planes and stuff. Very quickly can I create these things. Not to say that creating sketches is difficult. Choose this and say sketch. Perhaps I want my sketch plane to be a little bit higher, so we'll drag this up and we'll make it 10mm higher. And we'll just go to plan view, and then we'll just pop a circle in just to give me my final piece of geometry. Drop back to sketch mode, and you see I've got these surfaces now generated. Perhaps you want to make a little change to this one, and I'll pull this one out a little bit, and then we'll say pull from here to here to here up to here, and you can see I've got control points here, so I can basically play around my geometry and my loft. And you can see we can create quite a nice lofted shape. Okay, what else can we do? We have a move tool, and move tool does just that. It moves geometry. So I say move this, and so I can move it up or down. I can rotate it around. I can move multiple parts, so I can say move this and move this together. So it's a very quick and very simple way of working it. One of the most powerful facets of the move command is to actually be able to create and copy geometry. So let's say move this, hold the control key down, and I can copy this geometry. And then we'll say, okay, we can create this, and we'll just remove this around. I'll make that 270 degrees. Okay, now I've just guessed that position. It's fine, in design quite often we will just guess positions. But perhaps I want to firm this up. So if I say choose this and say move, choose a direction and say measure from the base there, and actually we'll make it 10mm. Okay, that's a very good guess. Okay, I now want to remove some more geometry. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually go back to my pull command, and I'm going to say, okay, take this edge, copy this edge out a little bit, and we'll copy out and offset it 3mm, and then we'll pull away this surface. So now you see I've dropped two bodies. If you look over here in my structure, there's two bodies. SpaceClaim doesn't care, it's not really worried about it, and we'll basically generally handle it quite nicely. Now I want this to be roughly up to this face, so I can pull it up and eyeball it, make sure it looks about right. Get to somewhere where I'm happy, and then click on it and say, well, actually 41. Yeah, 42mm maybe, probably some nice diameter, ready to have. Here I know exactly what this is going to be, so we'll make that 32. So very, very quickly we've made some nice changes. Now I want to offset these surfaces and pull these off a little bit. So again, if I now pull them away, you can see I'm going to put a value of 2 mil just to get a little bit of clearance. Now I want to rejoin these bodies, so all I need to do is choose the right face. So choose this bottom face and say make that bottom face go up to this face. And you see again we've joined them back together again, and SpaceClaim is quite happy to work in that manner. Now I don't really want this part of the model, so I'm going to quickly get rid of it. Now traditionally in a modeler I'd have to go into my history, find it, delete it, wait for things to happen, see whether it's all going to work out neatly. SpaceClaim is very simple. I'm just going to say okay, split the solid, that's the solid, split it on that face, get rid of that piece of geometry. Very, very simple. Now, one of the joys of our move command is that it actually enables us to create patterns. So if we go back to my move command, pop a window around this, and then say create a pattern. If I drag around in this axis, as it finds whole values, it will drop into those whole values, and there's my pattern created. So if I was to make a modification, for example, put fillets on the top of the face here, you'll see that will actually repeat on for everybody. So very quickly do the rest, the other one. Okay, if I don't want something to be part of the pattern, I just right hand mouse and say unpattern it. So if I now pull some of this geometry here, see this will all modify and this will remain as it was. Okay, I actually don't want this part here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fill command to remove it. The fill command selects all the surfaces and then tidies up the mess left when they're removed. There, very, very nice clean surface. Okay, I want to cut this in half and maybe put some bolts through here later on, but I've got no geometry to do that, so I'm going to very, very quickly create a plane and then use my combine tool and say cut this with this plane, and you see I now have this. So there's my model. So very, very quickly we'll create a drawing. So again, new drawing sheet. So there's my drawing, and I can come in here and I've got cross-section views, so I can choose this to make it a cross-section and then decide this is where I want my cross-section to be. I can add a detail view very, very quickly into here and drop this out into maybe down here, not very tidy but it will do, and I can put a general view up here, and we can come down here and change the scale to be. There's my drawing very, very quickly created. Now, this logically needs to be an assembly. So if I come into here and use my select tool and say choose this and choose this, I can move each into a new component. So now we have an assembly, which I can rename these components, and we call this bottom, and we'll rename this to be top. So now I have a structure, which means that in here I can now add my bill of materials. And there you go, there's my bill of materials with the item number, name and quantity. And again, any change that I make in here will update through to my drawing. Thank you very much for this very quick overview of SpaceClaim.